is officially mock draft season here on the channel. And coming up on today's edition of the Jets Report by Chat Sports, we're going to be giving you guys our first official mock draft of the season. And we will only diving into the first 4 rounds. Don't want to dive into rounds 5, 6, and 7 just yet. So that means we'll be only making 5 selections here, that being pick number 2, pick number 16, 33, 44, and pick 103. Now, I will say, you assume the Jets will take a quarterback at the second overall selection, but having 4 picks in the top 45 of this year's draft, you can really load up this roster with picks 16, 33, and 44. But speaking of the 2026 NFL Draft, if you want the Jets to crush it and maybe turn this team around and really, they have a chance to really develop a stacked roster here. When you have all this draft capital, when you have all this free agency money, you can really quickly turn things around here in the National Football League. So if you guys want the Jets to do just that, go down there and hit that thumbs up icon. All right, pick number 2. In round 1, we will have the New York Jets selecting Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. Now, for the mock draft 1.0 here on the channel, I just wanted to go with the most chalk selection at the second overall pick. Now, we will do a mock draft where we talk about Mendoza, and we also will do a mock draft where potentially we're trading back, or potentially we take a guy like Caleb Downs at number 2 overall. But let's focus in here on Dante Moore. Now, I'm a big fan of his game, and he had a really good junior year here at Oregon, technically a redshirt sophomore, but his third year at the college football level. Now, completion percentage is extremely high. He's a very accurate passer. Now, that is also a product of the Oregon system. I mean, we've seen guys like Dylan Gabriel, Bo Nix also have a super high completion percentage as well in the system, but 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, average 8.8 yards per attempt. And the 2 main comps you will see for Dante Moore are Drake May and Justin Herbert. I like these comps. I don't love them. I just feel like Drake May and Justin Herbert have a bigger presence out there on the football field, and they have a lot more zip and velocity when they're throwing the football. But I do see it like Herbert, Drake May, they have really good zip, but they also have great touch throws, which Dante Moore, he is a great touch throw quarterback. So I could kind of see these comps. Now, for me with Dante Moore, I don't really have too good of a comp for him just yet. Maybe, I mean, he almost reminds me of like a more athletic, like Andy Dalton a little bit. But the thing I love most about Dante Moore is his leadership. I mean, his teammates and his coaches at Oregon rave about him. They say he's more of a leader by example, not the biggest vocal leader out there, but he does everything the right way. So definitely, if he's there on the board at number 2, I think the Jets should 100% take him. Now, I will say, I think Fernando Mendoza and the Dante Moore conversation is very interesting. I think Fernando Mendoza, rookie year, would be a better quarterback. But I think Dante Moore has the more, potential and higher upside, because I could see Dante Moore developing into potentially top 5 quarterback in the league. When if he would hit his ceiling of what he could be in the National Football League, I think it's a top 5 quarterback. Mendoza, I think his floor is a lot higher. I don't know if his ceiling is top 5 quarterback. Mendoza, I think, if he really does end up working out, like he'll be in that bucket of like, and this is his best case scenario of like Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, like a peak Matt Ryan, which, peak Matt Ryan is damn near a Hall of Famer. And there's, no slight at that, but I think Dante Moore's peak is like at the level of a Justin Herbert, at the level of Drake May. So I'll ask you guys, pick a quarterback for me. Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore. Let's just say in a hypothetical world, the Jets were number 1 in this year's draft. Who would you take, Mendoza or Dante Moore? Is this tough for me? I think I would slightly lean Mendoza just because also I like the fit in the Angstrad system, but also Dante Moore would be a good scheme fit too. I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts. This is a tough question. Mendoza or Dante Moore? Drop your thoughts down below. All right, another first-round pick. Great to say that. Shout out to the Indianapolis Colts for collapsing this season. Round 1, pick number 16. We'll have the Jets addressing the secondary and specifically the cornerback position, and we're going to have them drafting one of my favorite prospects in this year's draft, cornerback out of LSU, Mansoor Delane. Now, as we know, the Jets, they need another corner. This room is absolutely horrific. You got Brandon Stevens, CB1. I mean, the fact that we have to put Brandon Stevens and the acronym CB1 below him is absolutely disgraceful. Then you got AZ Thomas, CB2, didn't play a whole lot his rookie year, but, it did like what I saw from him, especially that Bengals game, even though we got beat a couple of times by Higgins and Chase. I like the fight he showed. Then you got your slot corner, Jarvis Brownlee, where I will say Jarvis Brownlee, hell of a slot corner. So I don't think you need to address that position, but I think Delane would be a legit CB1. Like, if you would roll out next season where you would have Delane, A.Z. Thomas, and Jarvis Brownlee. One, that would be a very young secondary. And then also, you take Delane, you'd also figure a lot out about your head coach, because Aaron Glenn, obviously being a former cornerback, like that's his specialty. That's his calling card, developing corners. I mean, he's done that wherever he's been in the National Football League. So if you had to have Delane, A.Z. Thomas, and Jarvis Brownlee, three young, athletic, talented corners, you would find out a lot about your head coach, and I would actually have some faith in him developing those three to play at a high level in the NFL. But Jets actually had the first pick in the second round. So round 2, pick number 33. We have the New York Jets selecting defensive tackle Christen Miller. Now, I will say this was a tough pick. Producer Dylan and I, we ran through this mock draft, and this was the one that really, put our minds in a loop here. But just the defensive tackle position is a huge need for the Jets, and you got to be able to win in the trenches. And since they took a quarterback, since we took a DB in the first round, let's go in the trenches for this one. Let's get the big old body out of Georgia, 6'4", 310 pounds, very young kid, 21 years old, and he graded out very well this season according to PFF. He's a prototypical run stuffer defensive tackle. He was the 28th highest graded defensive tackle in college football and 11th in the run defense this season. If you would pair him up next to Juwan Briggs, that would be a hell of a defensive tackle duo. Now, even though this Jets season was an absolute disaster and was horrible, at least you saw a guy like Juwan Briggs. You can slot him in as the no-doubt starter next season. So you put Christen Miller next to him, and then you would just bank on, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, just kind of getting back to what they were. And then, if you want to take an optimistic view on this defensive line, it's not terrible. But there's no doubt they need to add talent to the defensive line. And yes, I do think the Jets need an edge rusher. I just think defensive tackle, I would rather take a risk on a guy like this. And also, anytime you could draft a Georgia defensive tackle, it normally ends up working out. So Christen Miller, take him round 2, first pick of the second round. But you guys let me know, because this pick was tough for Dylan and I. We were talking about, do you go wide receiver here? Do you go edge? Do you, potentially go in a different direction, maybe at the linebacker position? So I want to ask you guys this. Besides quarterback, what is the biggest position of need for the New York Jets? Drop that position down below in the comments section. Now, we do have a sweet deal going on right now at chatsports.com/Jets long sleeve, where you guys can get this for over 50% off right now. Just hit that link, chatsports.com/Jets long sleeve. Normally these are $50, but right now they're actually $20. Take advantage of it. Link for that will be in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, my favorite pick of this mock draft by far. I absolutely love this guy. Oregon safety, Dillon Thieneman. This guy's an absolute hammer. And he really does remind me, another white safety in the NFL, of a guy like Harrison Smith. Maybe not as big or as physical as Harrison Smith, but this guy's a physical SOB for sure. And I do think he's one of those guys, we're getting him at pick 44. I could see him going, even higher up in the second round. He's got great instincts. He plays the run extremely well. And obviously, tackling was a major issue, especially in the secondary this year for the New York Jets. This guy's a great ankle tackler. He also does a great job just navigating blocks, getting to the ball carrier, but he's also fantastic in coverage. He flips his hits very well. He's got a huge cover area when he's back there on the back end, and not actually when he was at Oregon this past year. When he was at Purdue, they would just have him be the lone safety back there, and he would just cover the entire area, but he grades out extremely well. I mean, he is the backbone of this Oregon defense. You guys check him out Friday when they're playing Indiana. This guy's an absolute stud. 88 or 89.9 overall PFF grade, 90.5 coverage grade. Fantastic stuff. A little smaller. He's not the best athlete, but his instincts, and he's just a great football player. So we took the Oregon safety with the 4th pick in this mock draft. Now, we're going to round out this mock draft with addressing the wide receiver position, because even though I don't believe wide receiver is a, hit the panic alarm position need for the New York Jets, they definitely need to add more skill talent. I think Zachariah Branch would be a steal here. Now, will he fall the round 4, pick 103? I have my doubts on that, but he would create a solid wide receiver room. You would have Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 1, the star position for this offense. A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver 2. I think he's a lower-end wide receiver 2, but he's not a bad option. But then you would have in the slot Zachariah Branch, who can play some outside, but I think he excels in the slot. And also when you have a young quarterback like a Dante Moore, I would like having a really good slot and a really good tight end to be that safety net, be those yak guys. And also having a good slot, people don't talk about it enough. It takes pressure off that star wide receiver you have on the outside. So this would open up stuff for Garrett Wilson as well. And, you're probably maybe typing down in the comment section, Patrick, well, why didn't you take a wide receiver early on in the draft? I still view wide receiver in the NFL as a luxury pick, and the Jets are in no position to make luxury picks right now. Obviously, when you finish the way they do, they just need to go defense, and they need to get the quarterback right. So, obviously, take Dante Moore, pick 2, but then I think they should go their next 3 picks: safety, defensive tackle, cornerback, in any order that is. Maybe, what if Caleb Downs falls at 16? You obviously take him, or maybe you take another corner at 33. Just whatever you're going to do, I think the next 3 picks should be on defense, and then you try to strike gold in round 4 with a guy like Zachariah Branch. So you guys grade this mock draft for us. Dante Moore, Mansoor Delane, Christen Miller, Dillon Thieneman, and Zachariah Branch. You guys give me an A, B, C, D, or F down below in the comment section, and we'll get on out of here. As always, go Jets.